Hey everyone, welcome in. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. I always appreciate how he gets some people joining early to make sure they're on time. Shout out to you folks. Awesome, welcome in. Yeah, feel free to pop into the chat where you're from and if you're currently an Issuu user. It's awesome to see an international crowd today. Awesome, thanks for throwing the Issuu link in there. Gotta check that out later. We'll give it a few more minutes before we dive in. I'm seeing a few people who are potentially looking to rejoin, looking to join Issuu. There'll be an email at the end of this webinar presentation that you can just send any questions to, and I'll be happy to kind of get you onboarded or re-onboarded. All right, let's start this thing. As a reminder, this is recorded, and we'll be sending this out after we're done having the live session. So if you missed some of it, if you joined late, you'll be able to catch that. So welcome to Issuu's 2023 Rewind, a year of content innovation and expansion. Today, we're basically going to talk about some of the biggest trends we saw emerge in the past year, some of the recent launches we've had, or all of the launches we've had in the past year here at Issuu, and what we can glean from this information before moving forward into 2024. This is actually the first of a two-part series. In January, we're going to be having a webinar dedicated to the 2024 trends, but this is kind of a retrospective, which is important to do before moving forward into the next year. So before we get started, my name is Talius. I'm a demand marketing manager here at Issuu. I'm a Chicago native, a coffee lover, and I race some bicycles in my spare time. And we also have Carolina on the call today, who's going to be answering all of your questions in the Q&A below, which brings us to a little housekeeping. As I mentioned, there is the chat function and the Q&A function below. The chat is where you've just been introducing yourselves. But then if you have specific questions, we ask that you put that into the Q&A. So you can just type it in there. And then we will either, or Carolina will either answer that during the presentation, or we'll answer that at the end at a live Q&A. So we just want to make sure your questions, we cover them and they don't get lost in the chat. So please put those in the Q&A. As I mentioned briefly, these slides will also be sent out to you after the webinar, and the webinar will be recorded and you'll be sent that recording. So if you miss some of this live, if you want to send this to your teammates or colleagues, you can go ahead and do that. You'll be receiving an email with that information. So the majority of the webinar today, we're going to be diving into those 2023 content marketing trends, Issuu platform updates and changes, and then just briefly touching on a 2024 preview at the end before moving into that live Q&A with whatever time we have left. So without further ado, let's jump right in into these 2023 trends, what changed, what shifted, and what trends emerged. So again, this is really important to reflect to see what happened in the last year, because so many things changed and adapted before moving into our planning for 2024. So these are going to be kind of a high overview. We identified 10 trends throughout the prior year. So we're not going to be able to go super in depth for all of them, but we wanted to present you with kind of these major changes within the content marketing landscape for the past year. So let's dive right in. The first trend we are identifying today is that video and interactive content are preferred across platforms. So video accounts for 82.5% of all web traffic in 2023, and 91% of consumers prefer video content. So I think this is something we really have all seen with the rise of TikTok and Reels and the short form video becoming more and more imperative for not just individual creators and influencers, but larger organizations, larger businesses incorporating this into their marketing strategy, because it's really proven to increase engagement and increase reach and help you reach your specific target audience in a very niche and a very hands-on way. This, you can even see it in something like Issuu's embed video feature, where you can actually embed videos into your longer flip book. So again, just boosting the engagement with the content you're creating. So this is something we've really seen emerge and continue to increase throughout the past year, and we expect it will continue to do so going forward. Graphic design has also become more accessible than ever before. And what does this mean? With the widespread success of creation tools like Canva and the recently launched Adobe Express, anyone without necessarily a formal background in graphic design, formal training, can create really cohesive brand identities for their organization. And so this kind of syncs with the gig economy and people, having this entrepreneurial spirit, starting side hustles, creating their own businesses, their own brands. Tools like Canva and Adobe Express allow you to create a really professional brand identity that competes with much larger organizations. And here at Issuu, we recognize that, and we've actually integrated, we have add-ons with both Adobe Express and Canva that allow you to transform your creations in these platforms directly into an Issuu flipbook. So this next trend, our third trend today from 2023, is that automation and AI simplify marketing functionality. And I'm sure this is something that we have really all heard over the past year. It's become really present in everything from just general societal topics of discussion to specifically marketing functionality, specifically when it comes to generative AI. So this is the generation of speech, text, images, videos from a variety of prompts. And it's also integrated, AI to some degree is integrated into most software we use, from creativity tools to productivity tools to services, etc. Some examples of this, right here we have, the commonly known ChatGPT, which is a product of OpenAI. But then we also have, again, these same images of Canva and Adobe Express that are just two examples of these tools that have incorporated generative AI into their platforms, which again kind of speaks to the trend we just discussed, which is that the AI within these platforms further makes design more accessible to multiple people, to a broader range of people. So again, this is not, a trend or an industry that's reached its peak. We are just kind of beginning to see what AI can do, and there's a variety of, social and political commentary that goes along with this. But this is something that has rapidly grown throughout the last year and will continue to do so in 2024. So data has also become more and more vital to organizations of any size. With the increase in content marketing channels and cadence, and with the variety of content you may be producing, whether that's longer form content on Issuu or short form content on TikTok, tracking the success of that content has become more and more vital, especially as resources are stretched thin. You may have less time, energy, or even people on your team to create content. Understanding what content is the most effective is vital, because you don't want to be spending all your time, all your resources, creating content that is not benefiting your business or organization. So using tools like Issuu's built-in statistics on social media platforms, on your where your website's hosted, taking advantage of all these analytics can really help you move forward into the new year, understanding what areas you want to focus on. So again, as I go through these, feel free to drop in your comments, your thoughts into the chat function. And if you're having any questions, pop those into the Q&A. I see, one question from Bill here: how often are Issuu statistics updated? That's a good question. They're updated on a very regular basis, so you should be seeing pretty accurate metrics. I'm not sure on the specific time frame, but we can check on that for you there. But again, please pop all those further questions into the Q&A so we don't lose track of them. So our next trend we're going to be discussing is how online shopping has continued to grow throughout the past year. Over 20% of all retail purchases took place online in 2023. And then by 2026, the e-commerce market is expected to total over 8.1 trillion. And e-commerce is not just through websites like, Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, but it's becoming more and more prevalent throughout social media channels. So on a platform such as Instagram, you can now go from kind of first touch awareness of a brand to actually completing that full purchase cycle, and purchasing items, goods, and services through social platforms. So optimizing your own business for online shopping has become, much more vital throughout the past year, and will only continue to grow in importance as the e-commerce market continues to grow in size. So we've already talked a little bit about kind of the different types of content that have become important over 2023. Some of that content is short form. So whether that be social posts, whether that be short videos like we discussed, but some of that content is also blogging and long form content, like, those really well thought out editorials and magazines and catalogs you might see on Issuu. So what are the benefits of long form content? It not only lasts longer and makes a more meaningful impact, but also drives positive SEO results. And as we may have less resources and less time, it can feel counterproductive to actually spend the time researching and creating a really thought out longer form piece of content. But what we've seen is that the results can actually pay dividends on that effort. So creating one longer form piece of content and then distributing that across various channels throughout a greater period of time, like you can do with Issuu's social posts and article features, that can actually be much more successful than creating potentially less meaningful, less thought out content, but at a higher cadence. So definitely something to continue to consider as you move into 2024, kind of revamping your content strategy and maybe putting more energy into that longer form content. And I've actually just received info that the stats, going back to the previous question from Bill, the stats dashboards are updated once a day at about 8 a.m. in the morning. So you should have that refreshed every day. Thanks, Carolina, for that answer. All right. Here we are. So another trend we have here is brands becoming more human. And what does this mean? It essentially means moving away from this kind of one-way communication style that marketing, maybe has traditionally been in the past, and connecting with consumers, with your target audience on a more human level. And so on the right-hand side here, we have some examples of this. The top two examples are tweets from an airline and a fast food chain. As you've seen, this style of kind of what would almost considered, maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, this would have considered to be completely inappropriate ways to converse with your customer, with your audience on social media. These brands have seen, significant success with this kind of witty banter, almost inappropriate at times, because it connects with, users on social media in a more base level human way that they'd not typically expect from such a large corporation. And that really draws a lot of engagement and connection with these individual brands. But this is just kind of one way to humanize your brand. For example, brands like Patagonia understand that their audience is really passionate about the environment and about sustainability, and so has made a large effort to donate a specific portion of their profit to sustainable initiatives and to kind of position themselves as a sustainable, environmental friendly brand. We also have the Shot on iPhone campaign, which basically, humanizes Apple by saying, look, we're presenting the work just random individuals have done as our primary marketing asset. So it's not professional photography. But any brand can really humanize their brand primarily by understanding their audience on a really deep level and understanding what they're passionate about and what they connect to, and then tailoring everything from their imagery to their messaging to, even like donating to sustainable initiatives like Patagonia based on, what their audience connects to. And so this can be done by both major corporations and by individuals. And we've seen in the past year, the companies best at doing this have really been successful. Another trend that's really seen an increase over the past year is the rise of virtual reality. So major companies like Google, Meta, and Apple are investing in this technology and releasing their own headsets. On the top left here is Apple's headset. On the bottom is a fake headset from Ready Player One. But I think the kind of similar to AI in some ways, the future for this technology is very much uncertain. In the past year, we've seen an increase in investment, but not tons of really practical applications for how individuals and businesses can start using this technology in day-to-day operations. So this is a technology to continue to be aware of and monitor, but it's not necessarily something that's going to, radically change how you operate on a daily level. Digital fatigue has become kind of a major issue over the past few years, especially after the pandemic. I think we're all familiar with or at least the Apple users are familiar with the screen time report, which sometimes is not the greatest thing to look at after a long week of scrolling. But it's really, digital fatigue is leading to both physical and mental side effects for individuals, but also can result in a drop in workplace productivity. And so what does this mean? How can businesses actually take on this information and optimize for this? When it comes to content creation and content marketing, I think there's this, as we've already kind of touched on, people feel the need to produce a really, really high quantity of content, but for focusing on the quality of that content can actually be much more successful. So if that is reducing your publishing cadence, but improving quality and doing some more user research to understand what content you should be creating, taking a look at your data, maybe focusing more on producing one longer form editorial or flip book, that can be much more successful and can actually help reduce this digital fatigue for both your company's employees and your audience. And the final trend actually we're going to be discussing today is improved UX is expected across devices. So, in the past year, we've seen a decrease in resources, in time, in budget. And so often when, budgets are tight, as we see in this quote here, the case for investing in design needs to be even tighter. When in reality, I think we've seen some companies deprioritize the importance of UX or user experience But this really still needs to be a central focus for your product, for your service going forward, because it's how you differentiate and how you stand out from these often very crowded and very competitive markets, whatever industry you are in. Which I know we just covered a lot. That brings us to the end of our 2023 trends. We didn't necessarily get in depth on tons of this content, but we wanted to provide you with an overview of the kind of pillars, the main things that changed and that we saw really, become more popular or become more present over the past year. Again, we're going to be sending out this recording and these slides in an email afterwards. So if you want to kind of go back through that list, you can definitely go ahead and do so. But now we're kind of moving over to the second portion of what we're discussing today, which is Issue's 2023 Rewind. So updates, improvements to the Issuu user platform. So, for people on this call who are not Issuu users, these may be features you really did not know Issuu had. And for current Issuu users, you may just get some helpful tips about how to optimize your use of the Issuu product. So feel free to, again, put your reactions, your insights, thoughts about how you currently use Issuu into the chat as we move through this. So we're starting with a little timeline function here. As you can see, even from January, we increased technology for our articles feature, for our link editor feature, new reader technology. We added a preview feature on our homepage. We've added integrations with both Canva and Adobe Express, as we touched on. We're offering a new collaborative planned issue for teams. And then, even at the end of the year, we improved payment options with Apple Pay and redesigned the publisher workspace. But let's actually now take a second to dive into each of these improvements on the Issuu product itself. So here we are. Can everyone see the Issuu screen here? I assume we can. Yeah, I'm still screen sharing. Okay. So the first thing we launched starting at the beginning of the year, January, was an improvement to our link editor. So as you can see, when you upload a document to Issuu, this is an example of our 2023 year in review document. On the left-hand side here, this is our linking feature. So this has been improved, and it's kind of an all-new, really seamless drag and drop editor where you can go in through every page and then do a drag and drop function. So let's say we wanted to, link this icon here right to issuu.com. Just simply drag and drop, and then you can add a link to a web page, a shopping link if you're making a catalog, a go-to page link for an index, and even insert a video. So for here, we'll just do. And you can see this is now saved and automatically hyperlinked within your content. So for those of you currently publishing on Issuu, this is a great way to just, enhance and make your content much more dynamic. You can also add a video here, like we talked about, with video being one of the major trends over the past year. So we'll go ahead and publish that change. And then that link is live in your content. All right, the next change, moving into February, we improved our social posts feature. So it now automatically pulls in assets from your publication, and you have a variety of different style capabilities. We'll take a look at that here again. You just scroll down and then go to the social posts tab, and you can see these are social posts I've already made, but we'll start a new social post from this content. So as you can see here, we've made a lot of improvements on this feature. You can now, similar to kind of this links feature, you can select assets from any page within your publication. We automatically pull in all of the assets from the publication, and then you can edit this however you'd like. You can go ahead and, let's say you want to add this other image here, you can rearrange it. You can add different text styles. You can add, different formatting of the text. You can make it bold. You can change the different fonts. So you have a whole host of different options now to take that flipbook and distribute it across social in pretty much however many social posts you'd like, using, even have a variety of different templates for posts and stories, depending on the content you're trying to create. Moving into March now, still related to social posts, we improved our social sharing features for the post itself. So you can download this post as a PNG or a JPEG, or you can now connect it to, zoom out of the way, you can connect it to any of your social accounts and then share it right from Issuu. So it makes, again, just eliminates those steps, makes that sharing process even easier. Going into 2024, we'll be adding more social accounts you can connect through via API right here. All right, so now moving into April, moving into the spring, we launched, here we go, we launched what we call Issuu Preview. So this is for people who don't necessarily have an Issuu account yet. If you're just exploring Issuu, just understanding what this is, and want to preview how a piece of content you have looks, you can upload a file from your computer. Again, I'm not logged in here. I'm not logged into an Issuu account. You can upload and preview how that content looks without even signing up for even our free plan. So this just makes it really easy to kind of, before making the leap into a full Issuu plan, identify how your content presents in that Issuu flipbook kind of style. All right. We now have, moving back to here, in May, we launched visual improvements to our publisher profile page. So this is for Issuu users who have an Issuu account. You may have noticed in May that there's been visual enhancements to your publisher profile page, which is this page right here. Changes to the how many individual flipbooks you can view. We've made it a paginated style library here instead of an endless scroll. We've made edits to how the social icons appear. So many Issuu users, instead of just sharing an individual publication, will actually share their whole content library through this link to their audience. And this just makes it a slightly more pleasing, slightly more improved experience. All right. And then in June, I mentioned earlier that we launched integrations with both Canva and Adobe Express. In June, we launched our app for Canva, which I'll take you through just very briefly. So if you navigate to, for example, this is a catalog I'm working on in Canva, you can actually go straight from this into Issuu instead of having to, upload that or download that to your own device and then log into Issuu and upload it there. How can you do this? Simply select apps here from the left-hand side menu and then just search Issuu. That'll come right up. Click on that. And then you can connect to your own Issuu account right here and then push that live into Issuu. You can also, through this integration, view stats on all of your Issuu content you already have published. So we won't go through that whole flow today just for the sake of time. But again, you can also export to preview like you can do on our homepage and see how your content that you're working on here would look as a flipbook, an embed on your own website, a GIF that you can share via social or email, or a dedicated social post with the cover of your content there. All right, so now moving further into the summer, July, we launched a variety of enhancements for our articles feature, which is different than our social post feature. We'll move back into Issuu to demo this. So what I'll do is I'll navigate back to the same file we were working on earlier. So again, this is your document page. You just scroll down and you can see this is actually an article that has been automatically generated from the content that you produce. So our software is able to recognize various content that may be more naturally an article. So if you produce a longer editorial, you might have 3 or 4 automatically generated article for each individual section of your longer piece. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So as you can see here, all of the content that's been identified via machine learning on the left-hand side here, and then you can add that content to this article on the right-hand side. It automatically generates like a read time. So this is perfect for sharing on social media for if you want to kind of make use of a longer piece of content for a greater period of time. And we've also made improvements to this individual editor, so you can now change paragraph styles, add bulleted lists. You can change around the order of the assets within here. You can also, upload additional imagery to add into here. And then once you're done, save and publish that and share it to your social accounts. Which brings us to one of the other updates we made in July, which was the launch of our Issuu for Teams various plans. So if you have not signed up for Issuu, you can go ahead and do sign up or upgrade if you're a current Issuu user. And then these are our new Teams plans. So what we can do is we can see a complete list here. These Teams plans essentially enable you to have a variety of workspaces for users in your organization. So if you have different departments, different geographical locations, or any other split that would be helpful to kind of separate off the publications and separate off the users, this is really a great way to do that and then collaborate with your team. So we have two plans here with details on the specific workspaces. We can also do custom options here. So if you're interested in this, feel free to reach out to me, or you can contact sales, contact our sales team via these options. So this is perfect for often slightly larger organizations. For example, if you have different offices across the globe and want those publications to be separated. Moving now into the end of summer, in August, we made another improvement to, here we go. So this, for current Issuu users, this is the page that you see when you log in. So as you can see, you have, all the different integrations here. But now if you scroll down, you can actually just see the recent work you've been working on latest right here, instead of navigating into the My Library section on the left-hand side. So obviously this is not like a major change, but as we mentioned, the last trend in 2023 we discussed was UX improvements. And this is just another way we are optimizing that to help you work more quickly, find the content you've been working on most recently, and just make that whole process just a little bit more streamlined. So now moving into the fall, in September, we launched a downloadable report for our statistics feature. So let's take a look at what that is. On the left-hand side here, once you log in, you can find statistics really easily on the left. And this takes you to our statistics functionality. So as the question indicated before, this updates every day with most relevant, most recent statistics. You can sort by a specific publication. Let's do it. So sort by specific publication, sort by different time range. And then this is one of the edits we've made recently, is you can now download it as both a PDF and a CSV. So as we mentioned, understanding data has become much more important over the past year. But you also need to share and distribute that data with your team and say, look, this is what's performed the best. This is why we should continue doing this. So, you select, so we'll select a random publication. You can see impressions. This is actually just published recently, which is why the date range doesn't go back that far. You can see impressions, reads, average read time for each specific day. You can then see the links within your publication and see what links have the greatest number of impressions and clicks. You can do the same for pages. So you say, all right, so example, you're looking at page 5 and there seems to be a really, abnormally high number of impressions. You know that whatever you published on that page, you should do more of, and you should optimize and change your future publications to include more of that. You can also break this down by reading devices, by various sources, and even geographical location. And then again, download that and share it with your team. So this moves us into October, and this is the launch of one of our other integrations with Adobe Express. So this works very similarly to that Canva integration. I'll just navigate here to a piece of content that we're working on. And then you can go ahead and on the left-hand side menu here, we'll wait till this loads. There we go. So loading slowly today. But on the left-hand side, you can go ahead and select add-ons. And then we're actually up here in this featured section. You can also search for us, simply select Issuu. And this pops up on the right-hand side. Once again, you can preview how this content you're working on appears as a flipbook. embed GIF or social post, and then connect this and publish it directly to your Issuu account right from Adobe Express. So you don't have to download and re-upload and log in. This just pushes it straight to Issuu, where you can then go into Issuu and make those customizations we've been talking about today. All right. So in November, we also made an update when it comes to payment. So you can now Apple Pay is now an option when you want to upgrade to one of our paid plans or improve your paid plan. And then the final change we made in the year in December, quite recently, was we actually improved this whole, document workspace. So now you can see all of your settings on the right-hand side here. You can see the title, description, you can set availability, you can select a publication type. And we all had this functionality before, but now it's just improved. Again, another UX improvement has been improved here. You can see the social posts and the articles you've created really easily. And it just makes it a more improved experience for our users on this platform. All right. I know we just covered a lot, but that brings us to December, which means we have covered all of the changes that we have made at Issuu throughout the year. So there's quite a few, everything from changes to statistics, to social posts, to articles, to just simple UX improvements. And again, we really dove into all of these 2023 content marketing changes, which then kind of, once we've assessed and understood, what changes we've made in the past year, what has worked, what hasn't worked, what as a broader marketing industry has been affected, has been changed. Now we can kind of look forward and look ahead to our 2024 content marketing trends. Just as a kind of a brief overview, these are the 8 trends that we will be discussing in our January webinar, where we'll really spend the time. I know today was more of a brief overview of the 2023 trends, but in our upcoming webinar, we'll really dive into these specific trends and what we predict to be happening over the coming year. Which brings me to our brief Q&A section here at the end. I know a lot of the questions have already been answered. Carolina, were there any questions outstanding? I'm seeing a few.
Yeah, there is one question that is about links. The URL of the publication, actually. The Bill asked if he wants to update a publication, will the URL change when he posted?
Oh, yeah, great question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah, so if you re-upload your publication, including re-uploading from Canva or InDesign integrations, the link maintains the same and your stats maintain the same.
That's it.
Oh, and I'm seeing.
And there's, yeah.
Go ahead.
Will you automatically sign us up for the January webinar?
That's a good question. We will not automatically sign you up, but you will get an email to register for that webinar. So keep a lookout for that. That should be coming, I believe, in early January to register for that. So you won't be automatically signed up, but you can find that either on our webinar page on our website. So you can find that on the Issuu website, or you'll get an email from that as well.
Okay, there is another question asking, is there a reason why LinkedIn is not an option in the public view?
Oh, I think, is this referring to on your public profile page? I believe you can add a LinkedIn link. I think the example that I just showed for Issuu did not include LinkedIn, I believe. Is that right, Carolina? I think that's right.
Yeah, because we can actually share publications to LinkedIn on the social post tab. There is the option to connect the LinkedIn page.
I think they're referring to also on your public profile page, like right here. Can you add a LinkedIn icon to this? I don't remember. I believe you can.
Let me see.
It's a good question. If we can't find that for you now, we'll send you an answer to that after. But I believe just the example I showed. you didn't. And I'm seeing one other question. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, here for the social accounts. To the public profile is LinkedIn is not actually an option, but it's really something that we can send to the engineering team.
Oh, great. Yeah, good call. Good question. Thanks for bringing that up. We'll mention that with the team. Great. Cool. And I'm seeing, oh yeah, Jenna had the question, will we get a copy of the deck? The answer is yes. Anyone who registered for this webinar, so you will get a copy of both the recording and then also the deck that we've shared today. So you can kind of refresh, take a look at all these trends, and then even the reminders of what we changed at Issuu.
Sure. And Emma is telling that is having trouble with statistics. Emma, I will tell you to reach us out to the customer success team. We are taking a look at the statistics, and in any case you need our help, we are there for you. Okay.
And we can also reach out after this webinar to that person as well, to help them with that. Yeah, definitely. And then yeah, I see. Yeah, where can I find videos, Debbie, video support to better learn Issuu? So our customer success team is awesome. We also have our help center, which has pretty much documentation about how to find and use pretty much every Issuu feature. There's a lot of videos embedded in there as well, so you can have tutorials for how to use pretty much every Issuu functionality that we have right now. Perfect.
Have you answered Debbie's question? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I believe that was about the video support. Yeah, and we can reach out to you individually to help get all those questions answered for you. All right.
Great.
Great. I think that is everything I'm seeing for now in the Q&A. Again, if you have any other questions that we didn't get to, feel free to email webinars@issuu.com, and that will go straight to me. And then we will also reach out to a few of the folks that we mentioned here that wanted some assistance. We'll email you after this. But yeah, again, you'll get a copy of this recording and this slide deck in an email in just a few moments. And then make sure to register for our upcoming January webinar when that goes live in early January. But I hope everyone has a great rest of your week and a great end of 2023 and start of 2024. I hope this was beneficial for you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. That's going to be it today. Thanks.
Thank you.